The ice core sample glowed with an otherworldly blue luminescence under Dr. Nadia Volkov's microscope. She adjusted the calibration, her dark eyes narrowing as crystalline patterns shifted and reformed in ways that defied conventional physics. After 15 years of studying Triton's geological composition, she had never seen anything like this. "Julian, come look at this," she called to her research partner. Dr. Julian Reeves looked up from his terminal, where he'd been analyzing thermal readings from their latest deep ice probe. His weathered face creased with curiosity as he made his way across the cramped research module. "Another methane pocket?" he asked, but fell silent as she shifted aside to let him peer through the microscope. The crystalline structures pulsed with a rhythm that seemed almost deliberate. This was extracted from probe site Gamma, about 2 kilometers beneath the nitrogen ice sheet, Nadia explained, bringing up the probe's tracking data on her holoscreen. "The energy readings are unlike anything in our database." The Horizon Research Station, humanity's first permanent settlement on Neptune's largest moon, had been their home for the past 3 years. Funded by the International Space Coalition, it represented humanity's furthest permanent presence in the solar system. The station's primary mission was to study Triton's unique retrograde orbit and its potential for future resource extraction. But what they had just found could change everything. Commander Thomas Wesley's voice crackled over the internal comm system. "Dr. Volkov, Dr. Reeves, report to operations immediately." The urgency in his tone was unusual for the typically stoic station commander. They found Wesley standing before the main observation window, his tall frame silhouetted against Triton's twilight landscape. Dr. Rajesh Patel, the station's geophysicist, was manipulating a complex holographic display of seismic data. "The probe readings came back," Wesley said without preamble. "There's something down there. Something big." Rajesh's fingers danced across the holographic interface, expanding a three-dimensional model of the ice sheet beneath the station. "We've detected a structure," he explained, his voice tight with controlled excitement. "It's approximately 3 kilometers down, embedded in the oldest ice layer we've found so far." The hologram zoomed in on a massive geometric shape, its edges too precise to be natural. It was roughly pyramidal, but with facets and angles that seemed to shift and change as they watched. The structure appeared to be about 500 meters at its base, rising to a height of nearly 200 meters. "That's impossible," Julian whispered. "The ice at that depth is over 4 billion years old. Nothing could have built this. Unless," Nadia interjected, pulling up her crystal analysis on a secondary display, "it was here before the ice." The implications made her hands tremble slightly as she input commands to overlay her crystal data with the structural scan. The correlation was undeniable. The crystalline patterns in her sample matched the geometric configuration of the structure perfectly, just at a microscopic scale. "There's more," Wesley said, his voice grave. "About an hour ago, we detected an energy spike from the structure. It's becoming active." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. They had just discovered proof of non-terrestrial intelligence, and whatever they had found was waking up after billions of years of dormancy. "We need to assemble a team," Nadia said, her mind already racing with possibilities. "The ice sheets are stable enough for a targeted melt shaft. We could reach it within a week using the thermal drills." Wesley nodded slowly. "I've already contacted Earth. They're scrambling every expert they can find, but it will take them months to get here. Whatever we decide to do, we're on our own for now." Dr. Lena Petrov, the station's resident xenobiologist, spoke up from where she had been quietly observing. "We need to proceed with extreme caution. We have no idea what this structure is, or what its activation might mean for the station, or Earth." "Agreed," Wesley said. "But we also can't risk losing this opportunity. Dr. Volkov, you'll lead the research team. Dr. Reeves and Dr. Patel will assist. Dr. Petrov, I want you to establish containment protocols. We do this by the book." As the meeting dispersed, Nadia lingered at the observation window. Neptune hung low on the horizon, its blue-green disk partially obscured by Triton's thin atmosphere. Somewhere below her feet, buried under billions of years of ice, something ancient was stirring. She thought of all the theorists who had claimed humanity would find its first evidence of alien life in the outer solar system. None of them had guessed it would be here, on this frozen moon spinning backward around its parent planet. None of them had imagined what they might wake up. The crystal sample in her lab continued to pulse with its mysterious rhythm, like a beacon calling out across time itself. As she stared at Neptune's distant form, Nadia couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the precipice of something momentous, something that would change humanity's understanding of its place in the cosmos forever. The question was, were they ready for what they were about to uncover? The thermal drill hummed steadily as it carved through ancient ice, its heated tip leaving a perfectly cylindrical shaft in its wake. Nadia monitored the descent from the mobile command center, a pressurized vehicle designed to traverse Triton's hostile surface. The drill had passed the 2-kilometer mark, and the readings from its sensors were becoming increasingly strange. Energy signatures are spiking again, Julian reported, his eyes fixed on the monitoring equipment. The structure seems to be responding to our approach. Outside the command center's reinforced windows, Triton's landscape stretched endlessly in every direction, a frozen desert illuminated by Neptune's dim, distant light. The atmosphere, thin but present, created an ethereal haze that made the horizon seem uncertain, dreamlike. Dr. Lena Petrov adjusted her instruments, frowning at the data streaming across her screen. The crystalline formations are spreading. They're growing up the shaft walls behind the drill. Nadia switched camera feeds to view the shaft. Sure enough, delicate patterns of luminescent crystal were forming in the drill's wake, spreading like frost on a window pane. But this was no natural process, the patterns were too ordered, too precise. All readings stable, Rajesh announced from his station. 200 meters to target depth. The tension in the command center was palpable. After a week of careful preparation and drilling, they were about to make contact with something that had lain dormant since before Earth had developed multicellular life. Commander Wesley's voice came through the comm system from the main station, Dr. Volkov, status report. We're proceeding as planned, Nadia responded, her voice steady despite her racing heart. The structure is showing increased signs of activity, but all safety parameters are within acceptable ranges. A sudden tremor shook the command center, causing equipment to rattle and screens to flicker. Seismic event, Rajesh called out, his fingers flying over his controls. Localized to the structure. It's pulsing. The crystal patterns in the shaft began to pulse in sync with the tremors, creating waves of blue-white light that traveled up toward the surface. The effect was beautiful and terrifying. 100 meters, Julian announced, his voice tense. Wait, something's wrong. The drill's telemetry is going haywire. Before anyone could respond, a blast of energy surged up the shaft. The command center systems overloaded, plunging them into darkness for several heart-stopping seconds before emergency power kicked in. When the lights returned, the screens showed something extraordinary. The drill had broken through into a vast chamber within the structure. The space was perfectly geometric, its walls covered in the same crystalline patterns they had observed in the samples, but on a massive scale. Are we receiving data from the drill's sensors? Nadia asked, trying to keep her voice professional despite her amazement. Partial data only, Julian replied. Atmosphere reading, this is impossible. There's a breathable atmosphere in the chamber. Pressure stable at 1.1 atmospheres, temperature holding at 20 degrees Celsius. That can't be right, Lena interjected. The structure's been buried under ice for billions of years. How could it maintain a controlled environment? The chamber's crystalline walls pulsed with energy, creating patterns that seemed almost like writing. Symbols appeared and disappeared, flowing across the surfaces in mesmerizing sequences. It's not just maintaining an environment, Rajesh said, his voice filled with wonder. It's actively terraforming the space. The energy readings suggest it's converting the ice directly into atmosphere and regulating the temperature. Commander Wesley's voice crackled through the comm again, "All personnel, prepare for expedition protocol. Dr. Volkov, assemble your team. We're going down there." The next few hours were a blur of preparation. They selected a 4-person team. Nadia would lead, with Julian handling technical analysis, Lena monitoring biological factors, and Rajesh studying the structure's physical properties. The rest of the station's crew would monitor from above. As they prepared their expedition suits, designed for deep ice exploration but now repurposed for this unprecedented mission, Nadia caught Lena staring at the chamber feed. "What are you thinking?" she asked her colleague. "I'm thinking about time," Lena replied softly. "About how long this thing has waited down there. About what it means that it's choosing to wake up now." The expedition suits were a marvel of engineering, equipped with advanced sensors, communication systems, and enough life support for 12 hours. They were bulky but necessary. Despite the chamber's apparently habitable environment, they couldn't risk exposure to an alien atmosphere. As the team prepared to descend, Commander Wesley gave them final instructions from the station. "Remember, this is strictly reconnaissance. Document everything, but touch nothing without authorization. The slightest mistake could have consequences beyond our imagination." The descent platform lowered them slowly down the shaft, the crystal patterns casting shifting shadows across their suits. Nadia watched the depth meter tick down, each meter bringing them closer to a discovery that would rewrite human history. "Energy levels are still climbing," Julian reported. "The structure seems to be drawing power from somewhere, but I can't identify the source." As they approached the chamber entrance, the crystal patterns began to pulse more rapidly, as if responding to their presence. The light they emitted shifted through colors that had no names in any human language. 30 meters to chamber entrance, Rajesh announced. "The structural integrity of the opening is holding steady." Nadia took a deep breath, watching as the platform descended into the vast space they had discovered. The chamber walls stretched away into darkness, their crystalline surfaces casting endless reflections of the team's lights. They were about to become the first humans to step into a space that had waited in silence for billions of years. Whatever they discovered here would change everything, their understanding of the universe, of life itself, and perhaps most importantly, of humanity's place in the cosmic order. The platform touched down on the chamber floor with a soft thud. Above them, the shaft seemed impossibly distant, a tiny circle of darkness in the crystalline ceiling. Around them, the ancient structure hummed with power and purpose, its secrets waiting to be unveiled. "Remember," Nadia said to her team, her voice steady despite her racing heart, "we're making history. Let's make it count." The first steps into the chamber felt like walking into a dream. Their boots left no marks on the crystalline floor, which seemed to absorb and reflect their movements in equal measure. The team's helmet lights created dancing shadows that played across the geometric patterns covering every surface. "Environmental readings are holding steady," Julian reported, his voice hushed despite the comm system. "Temperature constant at 20 degrees, atmosphere still showing as breathable. No detectable pathogens or harmful particles." Nadia moved forward carefully, her suit sensors mapping the chamber as they advanced. The space was vast, far larger than their initial scans had suggested. The walls curved upward in impossible angles, meeting at points that seemed to fold in on themselves. "The crystalline structures," Rajesh observed, "they're not just decorative. They appear to be conducting energy throughout the entire facility. Like a nervous system." Lena had stopped several meters ahead, her attention fixed on a section of wall where the patterns were particularly dense. "These sequences, they're changing in response to our presence. Watch." The team gathered around, and sure enough, the crystal formations were shifting, creating new configurations that rippled outward from their position. It was as if the structure was studying them as much as they were studying it. "Commander Wesley," Nadia called over the comm, "are you seeing this?" "Affirmative," Wesley's voice crackled back. "All feeds are clear. We're recording everything. Dr. Volkov, there's something else. We're detecting movement deeper in the structure. Before anyone could respond, a low hum filled the chamber. The crystal patterns began to pulse with increasing intensity, their light synchronizing into a single, coherent rhythm. The effect was mesmerizing, almost hypnotic. Energy levels are spiking, Julian warned, checking his instruments. Whatever this place is, it's fully activating. The floor beneath them trembled slightly, and new passages began to open in the chamber walls, geometric portals that seemed to lead deeper into the structure's heart. The crystals along these new pathways glowed with an inviting blue light. It's showing us the way, Lena whispered. It wants us to go deeper. Rajesh's instruments beeped urgently. The structure's internal configuration is changing. These passages weren't here before, it's literally reshaping itself. Nadia felt a strange sensation, even through her suit, a subtle vibration that seemed to resonate with something deep within her mind. Looking at her teammates, she could tell they felt it too. Team, Commander Wesley's voice cut through their wonder, be advised. We're detecting unusual neural activity in your brain scans. The structure appears to be attempting some form of communication. The vibration intensified, and with it came images, fleeting glimpses of impossible geometries, stars seen from unfamiliar angles, and something vast moving through the void between worlds. The visions weren't frightening, exactly, but they carried an weight of age and knowledge that made Nadia's mind reel. It's not just communicating, Lena said, her voice filled with wonder. It's trying to show us something. Something about its origins. Julian stepped forward, his instruments aimed at the nearest crystal formation. The energy patterns, they're organized. Like data streams, but operating on principles I've never seen before. This isn't just a structure, it's some kind of machine. Or computer. Look, Rajesh pointed to where the crystal patterns were coalescing into distinct shapes. Those could be star charts, but they don't match any configuration we know. The images in Nadia's mind became clearer, she saw a vast network of similar structures, spread across countless worlds, all pulsing with the same rhythmic energy. She saw beings of pure light and geometry, moving between the stars with casual ease. She saw time itself bending and folding like paper. Commander, she managed to say, fighting to maintain her focus through the flood of images, I believe this facility is part of something much larger. Some kind of network. The beings who built it, they weren't like us. They weren't bound by physical form. The chamber's pulse suddenly shifted, becoming more urgent. New patterns emerged on the walls, showing what looked like a solar system in crisis, planets moving in chaotic orbits, a sun becoming unstable. These might be historical records, Lena suggested, studying the displays. Showing why they built this place. Or a warning, Julian added quietly. The vibration changed again, and this time the images in their minds were clearer than ever. They saw Triton as it had been billions of years ago, before the ice had formed. They saw the structure being built, its creators weaving it from light and thought and possibilities. And they saw why, a glimpse of something vast and dark moving between the stars, something that devoured light itself. They were hiding from something, Nadia realized, the truth settling over her like a cold wave. This isn't just a repository of knowledge. It's a fortress. As if in response to her understanding, the chamber's pulse quickened. The passages deeper into the structure glowed brighter, more insistent. Dr. Volkov, Commander Wesley's voice was tense. We're detecting massive energy buildups throughout the structure. Whatever it's doing, it's accelerating. The team stood at a crossroads. The passages before them led deeper into the mystery, but every instinct warned that proceeding further would irrevocably change not just their mission, but potentially the fate of humanity itself. We need to make a decision, Nadia said to her team. We can retreat, report what we've found, wait for reinforcements and more equipment. Or we can press on, try to understand what this place is trying to tell us before it's too late. The crystal patterns swirled around them, their ancient message becoming more urgent with each passing moment. Whatever had caused the structure's creators to hide for billions of years, whatever they had been protecting themselves, and perhaps the galaxy, from, it felt like time was running out. The question isn't just what we'll find, Lena said softly, but whether we're ready for the responsibility that comes with this knowledge. The chamber pulsed once more, and in that moment, Nadia knew there was really no choice at all. They had come too far, learned too much, to turn back now. Whatever waited in the depths of this ancient fortress, they had to face it. "Commander Wesley," she said, her voice firm. "We're proceeding deeper. The structure is trying to show us something, and I think it's crucial that we understand what." As the team moved toward the glowing passages, the crystal patterns accelerated their dance, and the vibration in their minds grew stronger. They were about to cross a threshold, not just physical, but cosmic. Whatever they discovered deeper within this alien fortress would change everything they thought they knew about the universe, about life, about reality itself. And somewhere, in the vast darkness between the stars, something ancient stirred, as if sensing that its long-hidden adversary was about to reveal its secrets once more. The deeper passages twisted through the structure like arteries, each turn revealing new chambers filled with pulsing crystalline technology. The team moved carefully, their suit lights casting long shadows that danced with the structure's own luminescence. "Temperature holding steady," Julian reported, though his voice carried an edge of tension. "But the energy readings, they're like nothing I've ever seen. The whole structure seems to be building toward something." Nadia led them through a particularly narrow corridor that suddenly opened into a vast spherical chamber. At its center floated a geometric object, complex and ever-shifting, suspended in a column of pure energy. "My God," Rajesh breathed. The power output from that object alone could run Earth's power grid for a century. The crystalline patterns on the walls of this chamber were different, more complex, more urgent. They showed scenes of devastation on a cosmic scale, worlds being consumed by something that defied description, entire solar systems going dark. "The warning is clearer now," Lena said, studying the patterns. "Whatever they were hiding from, it doesn't just destroy worlds. It devours light, energy, information itself." The vibration in their minds intensified, and with it came new understanding. The beings who built this place weren't just hiding, they were preparing. The structure was both a vault and a weapon, designed to activate when the threat returned. "Commander Wesley," Nadia called over the comm, "are you still receiving our feeds?" Static answered her. The team exchanged worried glances. "The crystal density in these walls must be blocking communication," Julian suggested, but his tone suggested he didn't quite believe it. The floating object at the chamber's center began to pulse more rapidly, its geometric patterns shifting faster. Images flooded their minds, a vast network of similar structures throughout the galaxy, all connected, all waiting. They saw the beings who built them, creatures of pure energy and thought, weaving reality itself into these fortresses before ascending to another plane of existence. But they hadn't abandoned their creation. They'd left it as a gift, or a responsibility, for whatever species proved worthy of discovering it. "It's not just showing U.S. history," Nadia realized. "It's showing us purpose. These structures, they're meant to be activated by another species. By us." A new series of patterns emerged on the walls, showing familiar celestial bodies, Earth's solar system. But something was wrong. Dark spots appeared between the planets, growing, spreading. "Those patterns," Rajesh said, checking his instruments. "They match gravitational anomalies that our deep space telescopes detected last month. The ones everyone dismissed as sensor errors. The implications hit them like a physical force. The ancient threat was returning. That's why the structure had chosen now to reveal itself." Suddenly, the floating object pulsed with blinding intensity. The chamber filled with a high-pitched tone that penetrated even their suits' audio dampeners. The crystalline patterns began moving faster, more chaotically. "Energy levels are off the scale," Julian shouted over the noise. The whole structure is going into some kind of overdrive. The vibration in their minds became almost overwhelming. The beings who built this place had left more than just knowledge, they'd left a choice. The network could be activated, used to fight the approaching darkness. But the price would be high. Images flashed through their minds: the energy release would destroy Triton, possibly even affect Neptune. But it would also create a barrier, a shield of sorts, protecting the inner solar system. "We need to make a decision," Lena said, her voice tight with urgency. "Whatever's coming, it's close. Weeks away, maybe days." The chamber's pulse became more insistent, the floating object's geometric patterns spinning faster. They could feel the structure's power building, waiting for their choice. Nadia's mind raced. The responsibility was overwhelming. They held the power to potentially save humanity, but at what cost? The destruction of a moon, the disruption of Neptune's orbit, the deaths of everyone on the research station, including themselves. "Look," Rajesh pointed to new patterns forming on the walls. They showed Earth, then Mars, then the entire inner solar system being consumed by darkness. Then the scene reset, showing Triton's destruction but Earth remaining safe, protected by some kind of energy field. "It's showing us our options," Julian said grimly. "Sacrifice one moon to save billions of lives." The chamber's tone rose higher, more urgent. Whatever was coming, it was growing closer by the moment. The structure needed an answer. Nadia thought of Earth, of all the people going about their lives, unaware of the choice being made billions of kilometers away. She thought of her family, of all families, of human civilization itself. "Commander Wesley," she tried one last time on the calm nothing but static answered. The floating object pulsed again, and suddenly they understood more. The beings who built this place had faced the same choice on countless worlds. Sometimes they'd chosen to fight, sometimes to flee. But they'd left these structures as a legacy, a chance for younger species to survive what they could not. "We're not just choosing for ourselves," Lena said softly. "We're choosing for every living thing in the inner solar system." The chamber's pulse reached a fever pitch. The time for discussion was over. They could feel the structure straining, waiting for their decision. Activate and sacrifice Triton, or remain silent and hope humanity could find another way to face what was coming. Nadia looked at her team, saw the same understanding in their eyes. They had come here seeking knowledge, hoping to make history. Instead, they had found destiny. She reached out toward the floating object, its light reflecting off her suit's visor. The structure's energy coursed through her mind, waiting for her command. In that moment, she carried the weight of humanity's future in her outstretched hand. The darkness between the stars grew closer, hungry, ancient, patient. And in a chamber deep beneath Triton's ice, for humans faced a choice that would echo across time itself. Nadia's hand touched the floating object, and the universe seemed to hold its breath. The geometric patterns beneath her fingers pulsed with ancient power, responding to her human touch in ways its creators could never have imagined. "Energy surge building," Julian announced, his instruments struggling to measure the rapidly increasing power levels. "The whole structure is linking up with something. Multiple somethings, spread throughout the galaxy." The chamber erupted in light, crystalline patterns cascading across every surface. The team's neural implants buzzed with information, blueprints, star charts, mathematical formulas that redefined their understanding of physics itself. "It's not just activating," Lena realized, her voice filled with awe. "It's evolving. Adapting to interface with human consciousness." Through their mental connection with the structure, they saw the truth. The beings who built this place hadn't just left a weapon, they'd left the seeds of transformation. The structure wasn't meant to be a simple defense system. It was meant to elevate its inheritors, to give them the tools to face the darkness on their own terms. Rajesh's instruments blared warnings. "Structural integrity of Triton's ice sheet is compromising. We have maybe 20 minutes before total collapse." The floating object spun faster, its geometric patterns reaching impossible complexity. Through their enhanced perception, they could now see the dark force approaching their solar system, a vast, ancient intelligence that fed on light and life itself. It had devoured countless civilizations, snuffed out countless stars. But it had never encountered anything like humanity. The builders, Nadia said, understanding flowing through her mind, they didn't just leave us a defense system. They left us their legacy. Their knowledge. Their power. The chambers pulsed synchronized with their heartbeats. The crystalline technology wasn't destroying Triton, it was transforming it. The moon's very substance was being converted into energy, into information, into potential. Look! Julian pointed to where new patterns were forming in the air around them. The structure was generating something, fields of energy that rippled with impossible colors. Through their enhanced awareness, they could see the changes spreading throughout the solar system. Similar structures, dormant for billions of years, awakening on distant moons and asteroids. A network of ancient power coming alive, responding to humanity's touch in ways their creators had never imagined. It's beautiful, Lena whispered, watching as the transformation accelerated. The dark force sensed the awakening. They felt its ancient consciousness turn toward them, felt its hunger, its fear. It had never failed to consume its prey before. It had never encountered a species that could unlock the builder's legacy. Triton began to shake. Not with destruction, but with rebirth. The ice wasn't melting, it was transcending, becoming something new. Something that bridged the gap between matter and energy, between consciousness and reality. Commander Wesley, Nadia called over the comm, and this time, the response was immediate and clear. We see it, Dr. Volkov. Wesley's voice was filled with wonder. The whole station, we're changing. The crystal patterns, they're everywhere. They're in us. The transformation spread through the research station, through their suits, through their bodies. They remained human, but something more as well. The builders' knowledge flowed through their minds, showing them possibilities they had never imagined. The dark force struck, its ancient hunger reaching out to devour them. But where it expected to find easy prey, it found something else. Humanity, enhanced by the builder's legacy, stood ready. Triton blazed with light visible across the solar system. The moon's substance converted into pure energy, into a shield that would protect Earth and its neighbors. But it wasn't a sacrifice, it was an evolution. The research station, its crew, and the 4 explorers in the chamber became part of something greater. They were the bridge between humanity's present and its destiny. Through them, through the builder's gift, humanity would learn to face the darkness on its own terms. The chamber's pulse reached its crescendo. Nadia felt her consciousness expand, felt her connection to her team, to the station crew, to humanity itself deepen and transform. They were no longer just scientists exploring an alien structure. They were the guardians of humanity's next great leap forward. The dark force recoiled, encountering something it had never faced before, a species that could take the builder's gift and make it their own. Humanity wouldn't just survive this threat. They would transcend it. As Triton completed its transformation, as the network of ancient structures awakened across the solar system, Nadia understood the true gift the builders had left them. Not just the tools to survive, but the means to grow, to evolve, to become something greater than they had ever imagined. The chamber's light enveloped them completely, and in that radiance, they saw humanity's future unfold. They would face the darkness not just with borrowed power, but with their own creativity, their own determination, their own unique way of seeing the universe. It's not an ending, Nadia said, feeling the truth of it in every transformed cell of her being. It's a beginning. The light of their transformation spread across the solar system, a beacon of hope and change visible from Earth itself. Humanity had found its inheritance among the stars, and nothing would ever be the same. In the chamber deep beneath what had once been Triton's ice, for humans became something new. Not by abandoning their humanity, but by embracing it fully, by proving that the builders' faith in their potential had not been misplaced. The darkness between the stars retreated, and humanity took its first steps into a larger universe, armed with ancient wisdom and their own indomitable spirit. They had not just survived, they had transcended. And in the gleaming networks of crystal and consciousness that had once been Triton, the next chapter of human history began to unfold.